Hi guys, in this video I coach Lumi playing Thresh. I hope you learn a thing or two about support or Thresh and hope you guys enjoy the video. Thank you for watching. Pause champ? Pause champ?
I don't really remember this game all that much. I know I fucked up maybe early game where I engaged like level 1 but I died. Or my AD carry died for it. And I think from there on I didn't really know what to do in lane because I felt like Trundle was like too strong. And then I kind of forgot what happened mid to late game. I probably was just running around doing nothing.
Alright, it's time. So, kind of walk me through how you understand this matchup, I guess.
Well, I think I can do stuff in early levels because Trundle doesn't have any abilities. It's only when he starts getting a few more levels before he can become so tanky that I can't deal with him and his pillar will like me up.
Yeah. So what do you think of level 1 specifically?
I was thinking like just push for level 2 and then
Do you
hopefully
think your
there's
level
still
1
level
is
1 in it.
stronger than his?
If I hook the ADC and if I do hook the Trundle, I don't like all in, I don't think. It's just like hook him, do some damage and walk away, I think.
Alright. So I think you're right that it gets better for Trundle the more levels he has. I do think in this matchup you should start Flay because he can't really get in range to auto you if you just like auto him and then Flay him if he tries to walk close. So I think this matchup is like incredibly favorable level 1. So especially since they had to leash and you guys didn't have to leash. I think already starting from before the game or right when the game started, I think what you can think about doing is it's really popular to do the ward and switch to sweeper in the middle bush. I don't know if you've seen it before.
I've seen a bit of it, but I don't really see it too much in like OC solo-queue. Sorry, before we get into it, can I ask why all of a sudden did Trundle get into meta? Because I know Trundle was meta. I don't know if it was season 4, 5, or 6 or something. I remember he was like really popular, and that's when he had like 9 nerfs or something, and then Trundle became so relevant. But like, why now? Like, why did he become strong now?
I think people like him as a counter to Leona, and also I think people were just really bored of the pick, so they just thought Trundle was kind of fun. I don't think he's particularly great. He doesn't really have a great win rate competitive either whenever he's picked. Yeah, I think it's like a fun pick. I don't think it's bad, don't get me wrong. I think it's like decent, but yeah, I think he just came in because people started getting bored, honestly. His matchups against Leona are pretty good, but I think and against like solo frontline comps, like against like Tom Kench or something, he can be really good. But I don't think he's like a must add to like a champ pool. He's very fun though.
Yeah, I did kind of miss him, to be honest.
Yeah, so this game what I do is level 1, I would just... Can you see my pen here? Oh my god, that's huge.
I can't see anything.
Can't see anything?
Oh, oops, I'm on the wrong screen. Whoopsies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Try again once I make this smaller. What do I do? The dot disappeared. Okay. Like, usually you walk down on the minimap. Okay, and then you like ward here, and then switch to sweeper. Recall and switch to sweeper. And so in these matchups where you kind of have the range advantage, you can just like poke them in the bush and then walk back into the bush and lose aggro and then keep poking them like that. And they can't really ward the bush to like stop you from losing aggro in the bush. So that's like a really common thing to do in the current meta if you're stronger level 1, which you are. Alright. So I think already at the very beginning, if you did that, it would make the lane a lot easier. And then starting Flay, and since you would have this bush warded, what you can do is if you know you're not leashing, you can walk to this bush here and like pull the wave level 1.
Thing. Yeah. I actually don't really, because I never really pull the wave. It's always the ADC that does it. I actually don't really know how to do it properly.
Oh, okay. So the way you do it is, or the way I like to do it is I like to walk up to the wave, and you don't want to walk up to the wave like here. You actually want it to walk up to the wave like tank it somewhere over here, like, because if you walk up to the wave here, then the next wave will come faster, and then it'll be so big that you can't actually hit 2 first, or if you hit 2 first, you'll hit it in like a really uncomfortable wave position, and then the wave will stack, and then they'll stack a bunch of minions towards, and then when it crashes at your tower, you can't do anything because the wave is so big. So you kind of want to walk at it over like here, closer to the middle of the lane, and you want to tank all of them. You want to tank
All of
at
them. Okay.
at least 4 or 5 of the minions, and then you want to auto the first minion once. So I would
Okay.
tank it here, and then I'd auto one minion like this once. And the reason why you do that is you kind of make it so that you can still hit level 2 first, even though it's pulling, by like getting one minion low, so that when they finally show up to lane, you can start hitting them fast and getting the push first. So the goal is like if they leash too long, they'll lose one minion, right? And
Yeah.
if they don't, then at least you'll have the thing ready to like push back towards them, kind of thing. So I usually like to auto the melee one once and keep the ranged ones healthy. But in like some matchups, you would want to hit the ranged ones first, because like let's say you're playing range versus range, and sorry if I'm throwing so much information, but if you're playing range versus range, the ranged minions are going to be harder for you to hit to turn level 2. It would be better to hit the ranged ones first, so that you can just like at any point in time kill those minions to hit level 2. It kind of depends on the matchup, but in this matchup I'd hit the melee ones first. Assuming the lane's playing out normally, you would be pulling it, and then you would like stand in this bush and zone them. So since it won't be warded, and if they tried to ward it, you'd sweep it, their AC would be completely zoned out from the first couple of waves, and so their Trundle will feel really pressured to walk up and auto you, to try to like get their AC some pressure to farm, and that's when you just auto him and kite him and whatever. And so that's why I think the play star is really important. It also makes your autos do a lot of damage. I think another big thing to know is you autoed the minions a couple times here. I think you don't need to auto these minions because you're going to hit 2 first no matter what. So when you hit 2 first, you want to have as big of a wave as possible, so that when they crash, they can never fight you, and you can just keep poking them under tower with a big wave. So by hitting these minions any amount of times, like you're making it so that your wave will kind of crash earlier, and you won't be able to pressure as much with like a bigger group of minions. I'm trying to see how I can explain this a little bit better.
Oh no, it's because like second wave will like push into the tower, and then you'll be too close to it.
Yeah, that too.
What happened? I think that's why I died.
So in these really favorable matchups, like you want to make sure you make as big of a wave as possible, because when you create a big wave, you have so many options. It's a really long time. So let's say you get a 2-wave crash or a 3-wave crash, right? As in like a group of minions. You have the more minions, the more time you have to do something. So if you have a 3-wave crash, you can recall and come back to lane, and you wouldn't lose a single minion. Or you could roam to mid, and you would have like the entire time that they're farming those 3 waves to like roam or whatever. So the kind of bigger wave you can create, the better usually in these matchups. And also they can't fight you back the bigger wave you have. So let's say you're worried about a jungle gank, it can't really happen under a big wave because they'll lose too much. So it was really small, but autoing the minions, like I'm not sure if there was any purpose, or sometimes you just want to auto the minions. I do that too sometimes.
I think I just wanted to be safe and get level 2 because it was like Trundles, because I just wanted like to jump on him first, like level 2 and 1.
Yeah, so the thing about this is, since they leashed, you're pretty much high chance you're gonna hit 2 first, because not only can Trundle not really auto attack minions in this matchup, since they leashed, you already have a head start on hitting minions. Or like if you really were worried about it, you could hit the ranged minions or hit the melee minions a little bit more. But no matter what, you can also just match what they're doing. Like if they're kind of hitting the wave more, you can hit the wave just like 1 step more than them, so that no matter what, you'll hit level 2 first. But the problem with this crashing too early is this wave is really small. So when it crashes, they kind of catch it for free, and after that, then they get the level 2 for free. And then, here, what I would say is, Flay is a good spell to hold. Like, if after you connect the hook, right, you can choose to wait for him to get to the max range of Flay if he's running away, and then flame back if you already know he's running away. But if he's running forward at you, you can flame backwards so that he can't auto attack. It's not really a spell you have to throw out right away unless you're guaranteed like it's gonna kill.
I guess I just overestimated like how tanky it was, and I didn't think he would actually go in like all in.
Actually, if you tossed the ignite there earlier, he could die too, right?
Yeah, because I think I did it after the heal.
I think, yeah, maybe you underestimated the damage too that you guys had. My thing about ignite is it's always good to just throw out because it's a low cooldown. Like sometimes at the very worst, like you're keeping them low so that you have pressure in lane for the rest of the time. Actually, I want to watch that early lane a little bit more. I think I missed something. Okay, so I hear you already know you're hitting level 2 first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me see this. So here's where I would want you to be like kind of where Zaya is, like kind of really up and making sure that they can't even walk to like auto any minions or stuff like that. Right. Because already you guys are going to hit 2 first, so any fight they take right now is really bad for them. So I would want to see like you walking up this way and like towards Kaisa. And then at any time when you tick 2, you can just like flay her forward and then or backwards and then try to hook level 2 to level 1. If they ever go on you, you have the benefit of just turning 2 during the fight and turning on them, so they have to run. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, it's a small movement, but it creates a lot of pressure. It makes it so that she can't thin out the wave at all. And it catches people off guard when you start walking at them at level 1 versus like when you're already 2 and they're like, oh shit, now I have to run. Yeah. A lot of people always get caught off guard by that. Alright, so after this... Okay.
It has stayed, honestly.
I actually think staying is good. Here, let me think. Here, your goal is to make sure that they can't spend their money. So,
right.
What I would do here is I would kind of chill in maybe this bush or this bush and kind of see what they try to do. If they leave the wave like this and let me see how the wave is right now actually. Ooh, pause champ. I think what you're doing is fine. Just make sure they can't base and make sure they can't crash this wave. Because the moment he hits this cannon, right, their wave is bad. Actually, their wave was initially good. They could just recall, so trying to cancel their base was good. But the moment their wave looks like this, your whole goal is you don't have to do much. You just have to stay around and make sure they can't crash this wave. So just stay healthy and like maybe hide in like a bush somewhere. Pretend like you recalled or something. And then if they try to crash the wave, you just like be annoying. Like try to hold the wave somewhere near here, make sure it's freezing, because if you do that and they can't get the crash off, they're actually going to lose experience equivalent to like kind of what they gained by killing you guys. So you guys would be a higher level and you could still fight. You know, it's not like one kill is the end of everything bot lane. Like she'll come back with like long swords or something. Usually it's a champions that matter more in for matchups than like item components. So, and if you know, if they really try to crash the wave on you, then and you stalled enough time, then Xayah will come back and kill them both. So I think as long as you don't get too low here and you can create that situation where you're holding the wave, it's really good. So I think initially the idea was good, and then yeah, if you could have been healthier here, what would have happened was you would like kind of hold the wave here and like dare them to fight, and at the same time I would actually be pinging Kayn to come at the same time, because you know, okay, they just use other summoners. Do you time summoners, by the way? Do you time summoners?
I don't.
Okay. A good way to, if you're not timing it, at the very least, I think you can kind of say like, think about how like they flashed at the same time Xayah flashed. So it's a good way to think like relative to your teammates when they use their summoners. It's not a bad way to do it if you're too lazy to time. I get lazy to time in solo queue sometimes too. So here, yeah, I would keep healthy and I would hold the wave here and dare them to fight me here. And if they fight me, I'll be ready to have Kayn come over or just be ready to fight with Xayah again. I think that's a really good way to come back into the lane after something bad happened. A lot of advantages can be created from just like people not understanding how to manage their waves. You know, like there, they should just try to recall right away. So if they try to recall right away, what do you think the best thing would have been to do? Because your wave was pushing towards them. Right
wait,
after,
do you mean like
before he hit the cannon, right here.
Like if they record now?
Yeah. Like let's say they were smart and they like walked all the way back here and recalled, and you couldn't cancel them.
Well, if I felt like the wave was pushing into my tower, I would have just let it because it would have pushed so slow that Zai would come back, right? But
Hmm.
then if it was pushing into the enemy tower, I would just like try to kill as many minions, like push it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So
try to
I think what you should do is, if they try to recall here, I would even like go here and try to stop them. Like, just be
Alright.
as annoying as possible. Make them recall like way back here or something. And then at that
Mm-hmm.
point, that'll give you enough time for Zaya to come back and like push the wave into tower. And hopefully they'll lose this cannon wave. And that will kind of restore at least like a couple hundred or 100 gold plus like some experience back to you guys. But yeah, this situation is just bad to begin with, but there's ways you can like soften the blow. I think those are two different ways you can soften the blow. Is one is doing what I said, it's like kind of hide and wait for them to try to crash and then show up randomly like pretty healthy holding the wave, and they'll have to like decide, oh, do we want to kill ourselves to try to crash this wave, or do we want to just take a base and take the L and lose a lot of experience. And from my experience, a lot of people will just either kill themselves or take the L, like, and both are really bad for them. I think rarely will that situation turn out badly for you because you have flash still too.
Mm.
So here, not much you can do about Zaya, but here she should slow push the wave because she wants to make a big wave again so that even though you guys are down gold, you guys can still fight with a bigger wave. Is kind of the idea behind slow pushing this after you guys died. That's not much you can control, so we won't look at that. I think going mid here is really good because bot, you don't have to show up here. So kind of now, what's your thought process going into this sequence right now?
Um, I think it was like just in case something does happen middle, I'll just like come along. If something does happen, like I can just like help them out. But if nothing happens, I can just like path down to bot side. Maybe ward if I wanted to. Because it's like not really that long of a path to go from middle to bot lane, I don't think.
Hmm. So now that you saw like mid situations over, what's your new plan?
Right now, probably just go bottom.
All right. So I like the idea that you had about potentially warding because right now you still have more time before you can go back bottom. I think it wouldn't have been bad to maybe go this way and try to pink like maybe this bush or something, because now your mid's kind of strong. You want to open like a pathway to let her roam to help you guys out later. So I think if it was me with the pink buy, I would actually pink this bush right here.
Do you like using pings for like your teammates like mid lane? Because I usually just save it for myself in bot lane.
So I think with pinks, the general idea is that you want to use it to somewhere that you can kind of hold, and since your mid lane is strong, they should probably be able to hold that, or somewhere that like spots people. So
Mhm.
I think if you saved it for bottom, I'm not sure if you guys can hold it because you guys are
Yeah, I
kind of
don't
weaker
think so.
now. So you would probably just end up holding it for a long time. All right, let's watch this.
I think to be honest, from here I just like was a bit too scared to like fight the Trundle now.
The problem here is that you guys just have to wait. So I actually think you could have spent more time in the river here because you have to wait for the wave to pull, because if you started fighting here, the big problem is that you're fighting closer to their tower, so you don't have much room to chase. And also, this wave is going to combine with like the next wave. It's going to be really big. And you guys are down. Every single back, when you come back, I usually check items, right? So here, they're up two long swords. I would say like you guys would just lose. So I
Mhm.
would just like chill in the river, create some uncertainty about your whereabouts. Because when you do this, right, when you show here, they know 100% your bottom, but you're not doing anything, you can't really walk up to this wave. So you're kind of just chilling. Wait, I would call it a waste of time. I think it's better
If
if you,
I sorry,
yeah,
go on.
no, no, if you,
Uh, I was gonna ask like, so if I wait in the bush, at what point do I then reveal myself, and do I path to the like through the river? Because I feel like if I were to path through the river as the the wave is crashing in, the Trundle would just like wall me and like destroy me. So would I path upwards, like through my own tower, the long way?
All right. So here I'll kind of explain my thought process. So Trundle here, why does he have to be here?
Um, like asking like what I think, like why the Trundle's there?
Or why does he have to be here?
Because it's in the bush, like to maintain like the pressure in the bushes, and then he can just get the jump on me with a pillow or whatever.
Okay, so the reason why Trundle is in lane bottom here is because this wave is going to push out, right? Kai'Sa has no summoners. So if he goes towards mid and you go towards bottom, then it's actually really bad for them. So it's like most likely Trundle has to stay in bottom to make sure Kai'Sa can crash this wave kind of deal. So in that sense, he's probably not going to be in the river contesting you. What I would do is I would come to this area, right? And I'd be like a human ward almost. Like at the very least, I'd try to get some information for my team. So if you stand like here or even here, you don't have to fight. Just standing here, it's a lot more pressure than standing, let's say, in lane bottom. Like because here you're not doing anything, here you're not doing anything. But at least here, there's the uncertainty. You could be mid or top. And also, there's also the potential that you might see their jungler, like Echo, walking by. Just any kind of random information is helpful. And yeah, that's kind of the difference between the two places you're standing. Both of them, you're doing nothing. Does that kind of make more sense?
It does, but so would I just have to trust that the Zaya wouldn't get caught or whatever?
Yeah, so pretty much what it is they don't know you're not just standing here too with the lantern, right? So it's like kind of
Right.
they just don't know much information right now. If you didn't show yourself, and I guess you could ping Kai'Sa back too, or Xayah back. But no matter what, you should be bottom by the time she has to catch the wave. You know, like around when the wave starts to come back, I would beeline back to bottom, catch the wave, get all the experience, and
Okay.
ping missing on their Trundle. I think that's probably the best way. Let's see what happens here, because my guess is you guys can't do anything and you guys are just chilling.
I've never thought of like being a human ward like that.
Yeah, yeah, you can. Oh wow, pillar's bugged, visual wise. So you kind of
Yeah.
see what I mean, right? Like this wave is just gonna pull. Nothing's gonna happen here,
Yeah.
and then you eventually like you'll come back and you'll catch the wave. But right now, like you can't fight back. The wave is really big,
Yeah, I should have went for that tank.
and I'm trying to think like if you were here, standing here, if anything would have happened. Let's see. No, nothing would have happened. So even though anything would have happened, it's a good thing to try because maybe you would have seen some more information, I guess.
Mm.
Oh, you guys ended up killing. Wow. Let me see this.
I think the desire just like carried so hard there. I fucked up, yeah, I shouldn't have went for the tank.
Yeah, you'll probably get it eventually. Oh my god. Okay, nice. Yeah, there's two options here. Like if Xayah already has a buy with that kill, you guys can just recon the freeze. But if she needs this upcoming wave to get another item, I think pushing is fine too. No matter what, the wave will be good. Either bouncing back or... Oh, did she die? Oh, thank God. All right, here, I want to hear your thought processes right now. Like coming out of base, what's your plan?
It's usually the same thing, like since the wave wouldn't be like nothing would happen in bot lane, I just go middle just in case, like honestly. Like whether
Yeah,
it
that's
be
a really
for
good
like
habit.
a
That's a
gank.
really good habit. Let's see. All right, so here you guys are probably thinking about potentially. Actually, I want to see how much gold you had on that recall. Is there a reason why you don't like switching to sweeper on Thresh?
I usually swap to sweeper once I have my ward item upgraded. Should I do it earlier?
So right now it's really meta to do to do like on roaming supports, especially like Thresh, Leona, like Bard even, to just like take sweeper to make sure you're not spotted when you're roaming, because if you do get spotted in this same situation that I was talking about, where you're just chilling in the river but you're actually chilling on a ward, that's when it's really easy to die, or for your Xayah to die too. It's kind of I think people are starting to value like denying vision more than having it seems. And especially for a champ like this, like if it makes it you feel a lot better if you know for certain that you're not spotted on the gank for like a mid or bottom, for peace of mind, because otherwise if you're left guessing, sometimes it's really uncomfy too. Okay, so interesting. So what I noticed is you still haven't dropped that pink from earlier. I think this would actually be a good time now that you've got some control back in your lane. I think peeking the river is really good, like peeking for your own lane.
Yeah.
Nice, you guys got a good double. Okay, so I'm trying to think here. Do you play much Thresh, by the way?
I've been playing Thresh on this account. I've been trying to get aim for Grandmaster on this. I used to play, like, most of my time came from like many seasons ago. I'd say Thresh is like my second most played.
Alright. Did you know that they didn't have flash here still? I think you kind of compare it to Xayah's flash, and
No.
yeah, because when Thresh has flash and the enemy bot lane has no flash, it should just be a free gank 100% of the time, because Lantern, the sequence would be Lantern, and then you would flash on them and flay, and then your jungler would come on them, and you don't even need to land hook. That's the best part. You don't even need to land hook, and they just die. And maybe if they like somehow get away, you can throw a hook, but yeah, you don't even have to coin flip it. And so I would say, like, when you have that kind of advantage over someone, I think a Thresh main especially would start like crying for their jungler, be like, yo, I have flash advantage, just like calm Lantern flash. Like, you could even do it through lane, like it wouldn't even have to be through any kind of wards. I think that would be an angle where I would look for it, especially just like flashing over the pillar. It's not bad.
Do you like doing 3 points into E and max kill, or do you just like max Q shit away?
So with Thresh scaling, the way I think about it is, if I'm dominating lane, I like to put like 2 or 3 points in E, because I think E is the best laning spell, because the auto does a shit ton of damage, and like just like the flay itself is really useful for lane. But obviously the best skills in the mid to late game are Q and W. So if I'm snowballing lane, I might put 2 or 3 points into E, yeah, and then but if nothing's going on, I'll just start maxing Q or W depending on what I think I need this game. And this game, I think I would need a lot of points in W, just because like Trundle pillar, sign ulti, stuff like that. So and you know what? I think a lot Q and W kind of scales evenly now that they nerfed the Lantern max. So I actually think like you can even do like QW, QW, QW. It would feel good.
Oh, what? And forget about E.
Yeah, you stop putting points in E the moment lane stops mattering.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like no points into E at all.
Yeah, no. Yeah, once you're out of lane, it's just Qs and Ws.
Okay.
Yeah, and then E gets max last. It's really powerful in lane, but later in the game, I don't think your auto gets used too much. Alrighty. So after you kill bottom, I think it's just another crash and reset and Kane to Dragon, right? One play. Oh wow.
I don't remember what happened.
Okay, let's see. Alright, from base again here. What's same game plan, you think, for you? It's just go mid again?
Are you asking me like what my thought process was in the moment, or what I should be doing now?
Either. I think like what do you think you should be doing right now? I guess is first.
Probably like the same, like go middle and see what happens, or like path in between and go to whatever happens. I don't remember what I was doing in that game.
Alright, I'm curious. Do you know what top situation is right now? Like throughout this whole game? Like, not really? Okay. So
Not really.
I think the matchups, especially mid and top, right? These two matchups play out like really volatile. Like they'll be fighting, especially top lane will be fighting a lot. And mid lane, they have to fight because they're both melee champions. If they want to contest the wave, they have to start battling for it. So these kind of lane matchups, they are very easy to swing with an extra member. So
Okay.
I would say from base, since you can choose where you want to go, since you have a lot of time, and I would say Zaya is actually not diveable right now. Or if she was, all you have to do is not show before she catches the wave, and they will be scared to dive her. Kind of like use their lack of information to your advantage. But what I would do is if I saw like a top lane like this, or like mid lane waves are about to meet, I would think about just like full committing a roam there. I didn't really get a chance to see too much of what's happening, but like in this kind of situation here, it feels like at any given point in time, if Rekton had one extra person, like he can just get a kill, you know? And it's kind of trending right now globally to kind of influence solo lane matchups more than bottom. It's kind of weird, but I guess these matchups like snowball a lot harder. And it feels like one death for like a Renekton versus Tryndamere will like be Renekton winning for the rest of the game kind of deal. So I do think there's like a lot of value in full sending a roam like right now.
Yeah.
Especially when I think Zaya can clear the wave, Giant's down, right? And Herald's top. This would be a time where I would think about just roaming top here.
Right.
Alright, let's see what's going on here. So from base here, I think you had the sides. Oh, no, you didn't have sides still yet. Okay. Alright, sorry. I'm watching it with no fog alert. When you lane, do you think about like how the jungler's pathing and like where he'll probably be?
Honestly, I'm so hopeless with pathing. Like with the jungle like tracking where I would usually like my thought process is like, oh, do I see him top lane? Okay, great. Or do I see him mid lane? But I don't really know like jungle pathing where I can like predict to a T like where he'll be.
Alright, let's start from the beginning. Just walk me through where you think the jungler might be. Alright,
Well,
right now.
they did red, so I'd assume he's going top side. Like pathing from red to top.
Alright, do you think Echo can gank you guys within the next minute?
Level 2, yes. Like the Trundle pillar could like slow me a lot.
Alright, so Echo starts W level 1, so he can't gank you guys at level 2. So that's the relief
Right.
factor. The
Okay.
other thing is he also will spend a lot of mana in his clear, so eventually he has to path towards one of the blues. Probably going to be his own blue just because you guys have pressure bottom. So my guess is he's going to do like red to either Raptors or Krugs to blue. Or he can do
Okay.
red, Raptors, or red, Krugs, Raptors, blue if he was like trying to full clear and trying to make it to a crab. So that's
Do you,
yeah, so he did
is
red,
it
Krugs, Raptors, blue. Okay.
is it better to play a bit of jungle yourself to like learn some pathing? Because I genuinely like do not know pathing like at all for jungle.
It's more like you don't have to play it, but I think like watching like what junglers are doing, like maybe in your own game, like your own jungler, or just if you're ever watching a game, like a pro game or something, like seeing how each jungler paths, because each jungler paths pretty uniquely. Like for example,
Yeah.
Kane can start on Raptors or Wolves. Lee Sin likes to skip a lot of buffs and just do like the big ones like red, blue, and
Okay,
maybe
that's so
like he
much.
can't really do Raptors too well. So it's like it is champion by champion, but to have it on the back of your mind is really good because when you lose track of it, it's hard to regain like track. You know, like right now, like if logically I was playing this game, I could like keep in my mind like, oh, okay, he started red, and then probably if he hasn't showed bot side yet, he's probably in his top side around this point, and after that he'll probably choose a crab, and then from there like he'll either choose to gank again or he'll choose to recall and farm again for a second clear, and then if I ever lose track, then I'm like, oh, okay, then I completely lose where he is, you know. It's kind of like something I always keep in the back of my mind when I'm playing. So since I wasn't keeping track, I kind of lost track.
More fun
But-
times with Stunt.
Do you keep track of the jungle like all the time?
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of your job as a support to do that. Like, I would say support, a lot of the times, remember that human ward concept? I'll like just walk into their jungle to try to find them. And finding the jungler is really important because it relieves a lot of pressure off laners. Like when you see the jungler exactly where they are, it's really easy for like a Renekton to like start 1v1ing the Tryndamere, you know? They're like, oh, they're so confident that it's 1v1. But if they don't know, a lot of people will like naturally lose their matchup because they're playing more scared. I think that's when support comes in. Finding the jungler will naturally make your laners win more. It sounds like a small thing to do, but means a lot. Alright, I missed the part where Echo was bottom and you hooked in. Let me see. I think that was here. Wow. Honestly, I think you had the right idea here. It's just Trundle.
I think I
specifically.
should have stayed like a little bit more up and throwing the lantern into the bush rather than like walking down and then throwing the lantern.
The other thing you can do is kind of, you don't even have to check that. I mean, hindsight, but with Thresh, like Zai can actually push the wave by herself, and you can just have the lantern ready if you thought the jungle was there, because it's kind of like thinking the jungle is there versus knowing it's like it's more comforting to know, but at the same time, you don't have to because it's not like Kane's coming or anything.
I think my thought process was like, if I know they're not there, then I can jump on Kai'Sa. But if they're not there, then it must be in wave. So I guess like I didn't want to just do nothing in lane because if I was to sit back, I guess they could be like roaming together somewhere. I didn't want to just like sit in bot lane doing nothing, maybe. I think that was my thought process. So I wanted to just like make sure where they were with the lantern.
All right, so the moment Kane goes top side, right, you're most likely weak side. So there are like some wards that I like to place on weak side to make it a little bit easier. I know you just got your quest, so I think like if you think they're eventually going to get pushed in, I think the river ward is really good to see if their bot lane's moving up. And alternatively, here, even though your wave is bad right now, right? Here it's going to push out, right? And your jungler's not on your side. Another play there is to make here, and this one's kind of tougher to pull off in solo queue, is you just do what you normally do, which is reset towards mid. I don't think you reset towards mid this time, but let's see. If you reset towards mid and you think, oh, we're just going to make something top side, you can just go to Herald, and then you can get the full top tower, and what that'll do is that'll force them to push out bottom. Because if they don't push out bottom, they don't have a trade. I think after 7 minutes, 30 seconds, Herald spawns at 8 is when you can start thinking about just full sending roams to Herald. Because it's really hard to trade back like equal to a Herald push. And do you normally make moves to Herald at all in solo queue? Like
Probably like once every 15 games or so, to be honest.
Yeah, so whenever I make a Herald roam, what I'll do is I'll like ping back my ADC. I'll be like, yo, I'm going for Herald, and then they'll probably know to play a little bit more safe. And even though this wave is pushing out, you kind of gain more than you would lose. Because if you go to Herald here, then what will end up happening is Tryndamere can actually walk up to this wave because he'll get dived, and then you'll just spawn the Herald and get 5 plates. Unless they match. But if they match, then Xayah is really happy because then she can just push out this wave safely. I think the overarching concept, this is specific to this game, but the overarching concept is if you can ever, if you're weak side, right, and you think, oh, their jungler's bottom and our jungler's top, if you can ever just avoid their jungler and make a proactive play yourself at the same time, it's actually a really big deal. So the similar play could be like if there's no Herald, like roaming to mid, or even looking for the jungler, like walking into your jungle and looking at camps or doing gromp or something like that, or finding the jungler, which is like maybe warding this bush over the wall from like here to here. I think those are all good plays. Hindsight, obviously, we don't know if Echo's top or not, but these are some kind of plays you can think about here. I do think this death is pretty. I would die to this, like, pretty unfortunate. The pillar. Okay, from here. Now you have a full sight stone. I'm curious where you think the most optimal ward will be at this point in the game.
I usually like to ward, so a little down, like wait, where you said like to pink that last time.
Here,
Yeah, in that bush, but
right here.
and then to try, and that's about it usually. Unless I
Okay.
know like the echo's topside or whatever, then I'd like ward the race.
Okay, so what information do you have right now?
Like where the jungler is and all.
Just tell me any information you know right now. Like, look at the map.
I don't know what the echo is, and I know that Chinomia is probably gonna go back top or something because he's just reviving. And then
How about bottom?
mid end. Well, I don't know. Just like they're just sitting there, but I don't know if they're like. I don't remember what happened that game, so if they'll go back or not.
All right. So this comes down to like both their bottom wants to reset pretty badly right now because they're holding on to a lot of gold. So either they're going to reset after this wave or they're going to push out one more and reset, right? And if they don't, then they're going to be down items to Zaya, who's resetting right now. So
Did they
knowing
reset
that
when I died, or
no, they haven't reset yet.
oh, okay. Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so this is what it looks like. So this is what I like to call like a death or like an in timer. It's like because you died, you come out of the map with home guards, right? And you come out of the map, they have to fix the wave, and you're coming out of the map while they're like recalling or still fixing the wave, right? So this is going to be your chance to make something happen with your extra time on the map over them, because since they have to crash this extra wave, or they can just recall, right? But at the very least, you're going to be up, let's say like recall 7 or 8 seconds, and then plus like to get back onto the map an extra 20 seconds, right? So you're going to have like 20 some seconds to make a play on the map. And a play can be like a gank on someone. It can be even getting deep wards is a play. And I think at this point in the game, or at this point, I think the best play you can make is getting like the best wards possible. You can indulge in the deepest wards, you know?
Okay.
You can go in real deep. So here I see this and I think, oh, okay, I can't do much about this, right? They're going to crash it no matter what. So I think to myself, okay, why don't I just go deeper into their jungle and then I can ward up like here. This one's good, and like maybe even Krugs, you know. And if you don't want Krugs ward, you can even do like a lane ward over here.
This
All
is
these are
even
like
when
really this would be right now, yeah.
even if I don't know where Echo is.
Yep. I think you're fine because I don't even think Echo will want to fight you, and I think like you will be able to escape him. I don't think he'll like keep chasing you while his bottom's recalling.
Okay.
But at the very least, these two should be free. This one and this one. And then the thing about wards is like when you first place them, it might not like give you like that immediate gratification, you know, like you place them, you're like, oh, nothing's happening. But it's kind of like it will create plays like in the future that you wouldn't even think about. Like, for example, if Echo randomly showed on one of these wards, right, and your Kayn was topside, they're like, oh, maybe I can dive top now. I know Echo's bottom. And that would have been a play created by your ward, you know. It's not something you would think about right away. Or let's say like you place this ward and then you're like, oh, I have nothing to do. Why don't I just sit here, right? And then Katarina's like, oh, he's sitting there. Why don't I join him? And then the next thing you know, you guys are two people sitting here, and then Echo walks into Farmer's Raptors and you kill him. That's a play. Like, it's so much pressure on them to like feel scared in their jungle, like not having info, and you guys have all the info.
Mhm.
It like maybe at the beginning when you first place it doesn't feel like great, but then after a while, like these wards will create opportunities that your team wouldn't have seen before, you know. Okay. So I think this was a good timer to do that.
Mhm.
Let's see what we end up doing. So you placed this ward because you probably thought like, oh, they have extra time, so they might go mid, I think.
Um, I don't really remember what my thought process was.
Yeah. So when it comes down to climbing, and the reason why I'm always asking about thought processes is because I think the active thinkers will usually come out on top. Like they're always thinking about what's the next play, what's because if you're not thinking of a play and they're thinking of a play and then it's kind of like you're responding to their play most of the time, or they kind of are really efficient with how they're moving because they know exactly what they want to do, and you're kind of like playing kind of by feel, I guess. I'm not sure, but usually I like to go move with like a purpose, and I
I
don't like
think
to waste time.
maybe my thought was I'd eventually ward the tri-bush, so that ward was just going to be like a preemptive ward, like that and then a future tri-bush. I think maybe that was my thought process.
Interesting.
If that made sense.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. Yeah. So the thing to note is you at the very beginning of the game, right? You only get 3 wards, like in your side stone when you first complete it. So
Mhm.
each ward is kind of really important in how you place it because if you're out of wards, then you probably have to recall and get more. You know, most of the
Mhm.
time. So I think to use one like this is kind of a waste because they're probably not going to cross this one because you're going to push out and then they won't be able to move into river for a while. You'll probably have first move in the river. And I remember you told me like your favorite ward spots are like here and the try, right?
Mhm.
Those are actually the most popular sweeped and pinked spots. So it's actually
Right.
really, really popular to pink this right now. And so the chances that you're just gifting them 30 free gold is pretty high. So it's to counteract that, people have started to do like this ward over here or a ward over here or like
Mhm.
ward on the Krugs itself or like deeper wards like the ones I was talking about in their jungle. Those are actually very rarely sweeped because if you put them at the times that they don't see it, it's really hard to guess, you know. But
Mhm.
Tribush, guarantee you, it's probably swept or pinked, 100% of the
Yeah.
time. Anytime someone has it. Um, yeah. So I think just how you use your time here, because again, you have 25 seconds over them, right? Is you can use it better. Like you can look for their pinks, or right now they have no words, but you can look for their pinks, or like you can get some deep words. And like imagine if you use your time to like walk through this way, and then oh, you check there's no words, and then you this is just one example of a play you can make on this time. And then after that, you're like, okay, well, they're going to come back from base and they have to catch this wave, right? So you come here. And at this point, you're like, oh, wow. You ward over here, you ward here, and then you're like, Kane, come. Like, assuming this ward wasn't here. This is just an example of a play. And then you're like, King, come. And then you guys kill them behind the tower and get like infinite plates. I think that's like an example of a play you can make if you're kind of using your time over them to establish some control in their jungle kind of thing. This war is really good, the one that you placed. This one I like a lot. So I think what I'm noticing a lot is at the at the highest levels, right? The less information you give, the better, because at the highest levels, people are actually communicating that you're missing, and that they don't know where you are, and that makes it so that you could be anywhere. And I think those kind of supports create the most pressure in the game right now. I don't think anyone likes to play against a missing support ever. It's so
Mhm.
stressful, and it creates like angry enemy teammates. They're so angry at each other. Like, why is Thresh always missing? You know, this is really good to do right now. I think that's something you can think about incorporating into your gameplay is when you need to show, um, Like here, even now, Zaya, if you wanted to protect her but still not show, where can he stand?
Um, in the just like a little bit up in that like divot in that wall.
Exactly. That's
Um,
exactly where I'd stand here, actually, if I want to do that. Right here, right?
oh, I was thinking like a little bit more, like
Here?
kind of, yeah, until like the minion moves up.
Yeah. And why is it better to stand there and not like here?
Because I feel like the distance like to the tower is like awkward, and if the ADC walks up, I could like get a hook better. I feel in that position,
I
right?
think that those are great reasons actually, but what I was thinking of is the ability to be flexible. Like if you're in
Oh,
lane, right? If you're here, you have one option that's, stay in lane. But if you're here, you have the option of stay in lane, and you also have the option of going to mid if anything happens. So I think
mm-hmm.
standing in positions that create the most opportunities is really good. Since bot lane, you guys started fighting really early. I couldn't really mention it, but even in this kind of situation here, if you have like a lot of pressure, even standing like towards the river is like slightly more pressure. It's not that by much, but you're pressuring like a faster roam to mid. You're pressuring like potentially walking into their jungle. A really common play right now to make by supports is they'll crash this two waves, right? And especially on a level 2 roaming support like Thresh or anything like that, they'll crash this, and then what they'll do is they'll like walk through their jungle and then gank mid. And this would work this game because look at Sion. He's so far up. I think these are all options that are opened up by like a small change in positioning. Like standing in lane, again, you're playing purely for lane control, lane dominance. That's standing in bush. But standing in river, that's like playing for, your jungle. Their jungle is more stressed out. Their mid is more stressed out, and you don't lose out on like the stress from their bottom lane. They're thinking you can still be there. Like even like standing in a place like tri bush is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think thinking about where you stand is really good at all points in time. Like where to stand to create the most pressure on the map. All right, let's go back to. Is this your ward? Did your ward create this play?
Yes.
This is what I'm saying. When you place it, it's like when you have these wards, right? Your team is so confident they know exactly what they're walking into, and it kind of creates like this movement from Katarina. She's like, oh wow, I know everything. Like, and you're kind of leading the charge, and you're like, oh, this is good play. We know there's no echo here. These are the benefits of placing all these wards. You might not feel it in like when you first place the ward, but look now, 2 minutes later, wow, it's so important. Everyone feels so comfy on this play. Okay, this is a really good play by you guys. Alrighty. Thresh is a tricky champion to play mid game. It does come down to like controlling the vision and creating picks.
I usually have such a hard time with Thresh when I'm not winning, and because I know Thresh kind of falls off a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So and especially versus like such tanky people or like annoying people like Trundle.
Yeah, so the way Thresh kind of matches scaling with people is through utility. So maybe you don't win directly through the 5v5, but he's really good at like controlling vision and like being slippery. Like you guys can play in their jungle, and if it doesn't look good, you'll like lantern people out. And if it looks good, then you can like hook in. It's kind of like you're trying to constantly annoy them. But if you just straight up 5v5, Thresh is omega useless. So when I'm playing Thresh, a lot of the times it comes down to like controlling one side of the jungle and just like staying there and like trying to catch people or
I
like
shouldn't have flashed
be
this. I
annoying.
didn't see the fire. My tunnel visions.
It's okay. Tunnel vision happens. Do you make like calls in your game, like telling your team what to do?
I used to like many seasons ago, but after like I came back to League, I feel like ever since I started streaming and like people started to know me, I lost a lot of confidence in like shot calling or whatever. Like I now just like let everyone else do shot calling and I just like sit back and like I'll do some pings maybe, but I would never really say a word at all.
Yeah, I kind of get that. It's like when you do it on stream, it's like almost like if you make a bad call, like you kind of shoulder the like a really big blame.
Yeah,
I think
and I think
maybe.
also like I don't know if this is like a real thing, but I feel like content creators usually have like this stigma of like being like worst players or whatever. So I feel like people wouldn't even like care about if I shot called alongside me being like, you know, trans and
Gotcha.
somewhat known more for
No,
like
yeah,
my enchantress
it could definitely be a thing. It
people.
could definitely be a thing. I think I don't really call that much, but I would say like sometimes an anonymous ping here and there is not bad, or like here I would say like red drag, you know, like
Okay.
something like really simple. Because again, like Thresh, not the greatest scaler, so getting these dragons is kind of good. So, and especially on Thresh, I feel like this timer when I'm in game where I feel like, oh, okay, I really need to get this like game rolling. Stuff like some quick calls like that, or like pinging, especially on Thresh specifically, you need to be slightly more communicative with your teammates versus like a, let's say like a Sona or Janna. You're kind of just like going with the flow on what other people want to do most of the time. With Thresh, I think some of his matchups, you need a gank to win. You know, like, I don't know if you think about this, but bot lane matchups 2v2, right? In pro plays, a lot of the times we think of it in terms of 2v2 and we think of it in terms of 3v3. We'll lose the 2v2 matchup, but we'll win the 3v3 skirmish. And this becomes important because in champions like Thresh, they can force the 3v3 if they want it to happen. And he's like the king of 3v3 alongside maybe like an Alistar or something. With Thresh, it's pretty common to like call your jungler over one time when you have flash up to get the kills on bottom, 3v3 it, and you're kind of forced to call that if they don't understand it by themselves, you know. So I do think on Thresh, maybe another reason why he might feel uncomfortable to you is because you have to make these kind of calls. He's not like somebody you can just sit back and like chill, you know. I mean, you could sit back and chill, but you won't be having a great time compared to if your jungler was sitting back and chilling with you, taking bottom. Oh, I like this. This is a good movement here. Do you have another ward? No, okay. So what I noticed here is you place these two wards, right? What ward do you think is the highest priority in the mid game to hold?
Those ones and the Wraith and the one that's left of Echo.
So people say the most important ward is actually this ward right here in the middle.
Okay.
And the reason why is because from the middle, you can see like if they're contesting another mid wave or not. You can see if they're not, which way they're going, left or if they're going left or right. You know, this ward gives a lot of information. It's also one of the most popular wards to sweep out. But if you're in a game situation where people are not sweeping this ward, it's going to give you the most information. I think ideally it would be placed like this is the most ideal, and most of the time you can't get it here, but like here, so you can see them walk this way or this way, but they can also see them walk this way or this way up here too. It's tough to get this one without them seeing it. If they see it, they'll sweep it. So if I ever have the opportunity to place this ward without getting spotted, I will place it. And I think it gives the most information possible. These wards are good, especially for like split pushing or for right before an objective spawning topside like Baron. But
it's better to just put a ward where you know they haven't seen versus like putting a ward like right in front of their face and hoping they don't have a sweep. Okay.
Exactly, because I mean, if you place it in front of their face, what are they going to do? There's two sweepers on most teams, support and jungle. They're just going to ping it and they're going to sweep it. You know, placing it where they don't know is really good too, because if they don't know they're spotted somewhere, they're more likely to get caught. So I'm just gonna kind of point out the difference in or what you would have seen if you had placed this word. All right. If you had placed the word here, right? What would you have seen? You would see the same thing you would have known about San with your words right now, right? He was going topside. You would see that right now with that word. So you get this information now. You would have gotten it with that word too. What
So
do you have seen right now? You would have seen Trundle right here, crossing, right? You actually didn't see that until later on now. And this is just the one word value, you know. And I think like this word over here is really good, this one. And if I was thinking about this bush, I actually think this bush is really good too. I don't know if you have one. Pink. Let me check. This it's, and when we're playing support, it's really good to think about vision setups. Like, what are the enemy team seeing, and what bushes do we not want them to see? Like, I think if they're face checking the jungle, this bush not being warded 100% is really important. Like, really big for like them wanting to face check it. It's really scary. And later on, when you're sieging these, like, let's say your team is doing even better and you're sieging like this tower and the upper tower, you want to place a pink on your team's rotation. So if your team is rotating through here, like to get from mid to top, right, you want the pink to be over here so they can't see if your team's moving between top or mid. This is a really popular word. And then you want your wards to be on their rotation. So your
you kind of just like sacrifice pinks
here,
like for one moment in time. Like, you're not trying to
have
like
exactly.
a pink in like...
Pinks are very expendable. That's why supports usually, especially like Thresh. What's the difference between Thresh and like a Janna in terms of like gold? Is that Janna's items, she can spend like a gold to buy like scaling items that completely change like her team's experience, you know? Like if you have an Ardent, then it's a huge spike. But with Thresh, it's like, is any item really a spike for him? Not really. So
not really.
I'm really just like spamming pinks. Like on Thresh games, I could have 30, 40 pinks bought per game.
I've
it's
never
like,
thought of that.
That's kind of like the biggest gold spike you'll get is just like the vision over them. And so with Thresh, let me think. Oh yeah, talking about pinks being expendable. What do you think about pinks trading one pink for one ward? Do you think it's worth it or not?
Yes, depending if I know something will happen in it. Like if I'll be able to like pressure and kind of like maybe have a fight with it.
That's a good mentality. Yes. So here's the trade-off. A pink costs 75 gold, right? A ward, clearing it gives you 30 gold, right? So by using a pink to clear ward, now your pink costs 45. Plus you get the vision advantage. Plus, what's the big thing about clearing a ward? Besides the lack of vision.
Makes them have to play safer, so like they can't like face check, or it fucks up their plans.
True. The big thing is their support now has to go back to base to get more. And how much time does it take to get back to base? Again, it's like I always forget recall. Is it 7 or 8 seconds? I think it's 7. 7 seconds to recall, and then another 15 to 20 to get back on the map. They have to waste 20 some seconds if they waste their stone, you know. And if they're in base, that's also a good opportunity. If I don't know if you count wards or not, but when you're playing for vision, you're always tabbing and checking the enemy team's side stone. Like, what's the number? Right now, Trundle has 0. So if he wants to get any more vision, he has to recall. And a lot of the times, the higher the level, the more they'll punish this. Like if they see your stone is at 0, like they'll start the Baron. And you either have to recall and try to get more wards, or you have to guess when they're hitting the Baron. It's really stressful. And if you fight the Baron, you won't have vision like for the fight, so you can get caught in any angle. I think paying attention to the enemy team's stone is really important in terms of like counting how many they have left. So especially if they're running low, trading your pink for their ward is a really big deal. All right, let's see this. So right now, you guys have pretty much all the info. Honestly, the thing about Thresh is sometimes like it, if you land like these spells, then the play's good, and if you miss it, it looks really bad. I think one problem like fundamentally about Thresh that might be wrong here is thinking of yourself as the primary engager or the front line. I think Thresh, like, this seems like he would be the front line because he has like CC and like the engager, but when I play him, I really think of him as like kind of follow up. You know, like you're
Yeah.
there to like hook if like something else is like obviously if they're face checking vision, like this hook you threw at Kaiser earlier was really good, but engaging the fight here like as a Thresh frontline, I think it's just bad just because you're really actually really squishy. I like to play fights either like if my carry's really fed, just like be an extra flash for them, you know, lantern ready in the back and hooking the front line or like boxing the front line so they can't kill my carry. Yeah, usually if you start the fight off with Flay in the mid game, it's probably not the greatest. Hindsight again, but yeah,
No, it's true because I had another game where I was kind of like trying to go for like hook engages all the time, but I would always just get caught out by like a Jarvan or
yeah,
like
yeah. He's better like
battle.
as a follow up. On the fight, you can like land that hook, but I would say like the same line as my team, or even I'm slightly behind them. It's usually where I'm positioned as Thresh. It's really counterintuitive his positioning. That's why sometimes I think Thresh really good Thresh players, they have like a really nice KDAs because they
Yeah.
don't really put themselves in like the position where they're going to die. They're just like constantly peeling or like lantern gameplay. So I think like the bad Thresh players, I can tell because their KDA is like 1 or 2 average, and the good ones they usually have like 4 or 5, and they're just 3 point something playing for lantern. That's how I noticed. Like, not saying it's something you should aspire for like a certain KDA, but let me see this. So you have no wards. So what did you spend the last couple minutes doing? I just completely spaced out. What is this? Oh, so you guys were kind of chasing Tryndamere, and then you're like, just kidding, it's Tryndamere, we can actually catch him.
Yeah.
Or oh yeah, to be fair, this kind of looked like a pick. What should you do right now though? Now that he's out.
Do I have what? No, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think
Um,
Dragon is spawning in certain amount of time. I think for Thresh, it's really important to kind of set up first. Make them have to face check your hooks or your pinks and stuff like that. So you're already kind of late. I almost want to see if you could have reset even before this. Let's see. Oh, you did. Oh, then where did the words go? Okay, 1.
I did just put it in me.
um,
I really thought I had him.
let me think. I mean, it's kind of in the moment, so it's tough to like say if it's right or wrong. If you caught him, it's good, you know, to place those swords. Just curious. Oh, okay. This is an example of a time where you don't want to show yourself.
Okay.
Right here. So the moment they're not hitting the tower, I would just sit on this pink. I would sit on it and like it would create way more pressure than if I was. So look at it from their POV. They're pinging careful, and then you show, and then Trundle's like okay, or I don't know what they're doing, but they should feel like a lot safer to walk up. Okay, Sweeper's coming up soon. Fairy Crystal? I think Fairy Crystal is just a wasted buy. I don't remember the last time I ever run on Thresh. I'll just spam ping.
I usually go for redemption if I'm behind.
Oh, look at this vision control. He's smurfing. Now what? 19 minutes? Oh, wow. So, how do you see these comps playing out in mid-game? Like, do you guys want a 5v5? What is, like, the goal? Is it to get the side towers? Is it to start the Baron in turn? Like, how do you guys think you win?
Well, I feel like Carrion is strong, but they're kind of like tanky. Like they have Tryndamere up, Echo up, Scion, and then kind of easy ways to counter Katarina. And I feel kind of useless against a comp. Like even if I hook like a front line, it doesn't really matter unless I don't know, somehow stun lock Echo and we can one shot him. And I don't feel like a comp because I was like so burst orientated and they're like so counter burst, if you will. So I feel like more just picking rather than like straight up brawling 5v5.
So here, what I see is like side lane is going to be a big focal point, right? So for mid control, I actually think you guys control mid pretty well because Zaya can just clear in their face and then you'll have Lantern ready, right? So you guys should be able to push out mid from them, right? They're clearly playing for sides because they have Trundle with Ghost and Hullbreaker Scion. And I think your side laners are actually really strong right now. Katarina and Renekton, right?
Yeah.
So I think a really viable strategy for you guys is to just like control their jungle and then just like pick the sides. Make sure your sides can fight and push them out. And if they try to rotate to help their sides, then you guys pick them in their jungle. I think this is kind of how I'm like thinking. And the thing about support, right, the role is since you're not tied to like waves or CS, you have the most time to think about these kind of things in the game. I mean, obviously we're streamers, so we're also thinking about chat and like how we're responding and stuff like that. But if you have any extra time to think about this kind of stuff, it's really helpful just for your overall team's game plan. Because I feel like a lot of teams in solo queue, like if after a certain point, there's just going to be no game plan. And so somebody needs to like put the direction in the game. If you can like think about these things and be like, okay, this is what I have to do. It'll make it a lot easier to know where you have to be. Otherwise, like it'll look like this. Like you're just like, oh, I'm not sure what I'm doing. So I'm just going to walk in circles until the next wave comes. It's very possible this would happen. You can even think about like putting Renekton in the bottom lane. Let's see. I like this. Standing on the pink. Oh, nice. Zaya, the lantern. Oh, this is actually a big mistake I see Thresh mains do. Or Thresh players do. So it seems really counterintuitive to not help here, right? Like to stand where you are right now. But actually, you're standing at the right spot, you know? You don't have to move.
I just thought she wasn't taking the lantern, so I was like, like, oh, does she want to fight?
I don't know what she's doing, honestly, but all I know is you're in the right spot.
Okay.
Like, a lot of the times, like I'll throw the lantern and they won't grab it, right? And the reason why they don't grab it is they're trying to do like the maximum amount of damage before they grab the lantern and head out. But when you start walking towards them, they don't even have that like option anymore. This happens to me a lot in teamfights, so I'm like, oh, should I walk up and play now? And then they'll grab the lantern and then they'll ping missing ping. They'll be like, what? Where's my lantern back? You know? I think that's what she was trying to do. She's like, oh, let me get as much damage off as possible and then grab the lantern and leave. It's possible she was thinking that. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. I think your cooldown management is not bad. Like in lane, I didn't really point it out, but a lot of Threshers don't realize like their cooldowns are really long. So you want to make sure each one has like some purpose. I think the only time you messed up on that was like in lane when you hooked and then you instantly flayed after. That's an example of like you're just throwing out all your spells. But holding spells is a lot of pressure as well. Hook too. Like if you're not sure you can land the hook, holding it is like they're really scared to farm as well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see this. Everything looks good here. Oh. Wait, what is this? Okay. Oh, my client's starting to lag. Uh-oh. How did that happen?
I was a bit torn on where I wanted to go because I knew Scion was going like a whole breaker split push moment, and I also knew they were going to Baron, so I was like, oh, which one should I go? Because if I go Baron by myself, I feel like I'm not going to do anything, so I may as well do something at bot lane. But then I saw that they had bot lane fine, so I was like, oh, I guess I'll go Baron. It was like too late, I think.
This one's tough because actually this is just a flip by them. You guys have like that junglers there, so kind of it's tough. I mean, you're just one Thresh, you know. You being here might not even change the situation that much. Oh, this is online. I don't know if you can do much here. Oh, did you have any questions?
I don't think so.
Like at any point where you're like what should I have done here, or matchup, or
I just knew in general, like I had no idea what I'm doing. Like after I felt like I was getting outscaled and I didn't really have much power, I didn't think. I was just more like playing around, like praying that Katarina can carry, to be quite honest. and try to help her out as much as possible.
Yeah. What I will say is like this is kind of also a problem with your team comp is that you guys don't have engage. So it's kind of, even if you guys want to, having no engage against split push is actually really tough. So that's why it kind of feels awkward to play this mid game out. And the only way to force people to fight you if you have no engage is the Baron or the Dragon. Like stacking those, like controlling vision around Baron, and eventually they feel like they have to face check you is usually when Thresh can create the engage, you know? Otherwise, traditionally he has a hard time engaging. And same for Dragon. Like if they have to come into you guys, you can have a good fight. I think Kane will do really well. So trying to create more situations like that this game would probably be your best bet. And then until then, you guys just have to like weather the split push. Seems tough though. Comp-wise, it seems tough to win this one. I do think things you guys can work on is definitely that early laning phase. You definitely want to, it doesn't take much time. Just like go in a practice tool and learn how to freeze the wave. I can actually show that really fast. I think in solo queue, like some of the most important minutes are the first 15. Some people will just give up after 15 minutes. If you play the first 15 minutes well, then you just win. Low key though. So I always make sure like I optimize my laning phase. I mean, the main idea is that when you're hitting the minions, when you're tanking the minions, they're all going to focus you, and then after they all focus you, they all focus the same target after. So that'll make it push faster because your minions are focusing 3 different targets and their minions are hyper focusing 1 target. So your minion will die. That's like the overall concept. Like you can even freeze it up here and then like auto the back once. Yeah. This is yeah, this is like best freeze ever. All right, I feel like that was a lot, but also like it wasn't really coherent, but I hope you at least learned something.
No, I learned so much because I find my vision and roaming to be like really bad in comparison to like other players. And I'm very, very like stingy with my pink wards. Like
oh no, yeah, no. That was something I used to, it's because I know, because I used to be a Janna main too. It's like when you're Janna, right? Your gold is so much more important. Like I actually on Janna, I don't buy that many pinks. I focus on getting my items, but on because it's more important. That's how you're supposed to play it to get the most value. To outscale them faster, you have to get your item. But for like a Thresh, you don't. Leona too. Like Leona doesn't have an extra power spike after Locket. I feel like maybe Anathemas.
Do you like Locket? I don't really feel like Lock is that strong. Like, I sometimes want to just skip it, to be quite honest.
We don't got the options. We don't got any options. We have Locket or we got nothing.
Alright.
What do we get? We have Locket or we have Chem Tank. Horrible.
I was thinking, like, literally just skip Mythic and just rush Abyssal or something.
I don't really like Abyssal. I like Anathemas. I think the item's kind of good.
Alright, I'll try that.
But I think Locket is still the best over Anathemas. It just sucks. Like, I hate how Aegis costs 1500. Like, when am I ever going to be able to buy that? Crazy.
That's the end of the VOD.
I guess so. Yeah, I usually don't review the really late game because it's just random.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of stuff is out of your control too.
Yeah. I really like that. There's so much I never actually thought about, honestly.
Yeah, that's what playing the game as your job for 7 years gets you. Studying
Would you say that you learn a lot from like your like professional teams and all? Because I feel like I kind of just don't about like the jungle, to be honest, because I've always avoided it and I just never took the time to learn like pathing and all. But is that something you learned in solo queue, or is that something you would just learn naturally through like pro play?
Yeah, I think it's something you learn naturally through pro play. I don't know if solo queue players think too much about it, but any stuff like that is you can incorporate into your solo queue, then wouldn't hurt. Jungle is one of the big focal points of competitive because they usually make the early game plays. Nowadays, support can make them too, but most of the early game plays are started by a jungler.
Okay.
Well
those are really good. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. That was fun.